This video is brought to you in part by Chrono.gg. Chrono.gg is a great website that sells one video game per day at an incredibly low price. If you want to support myself and a good outlet for picking up your games, check out chrono.gg/downwardthrust. Hey, what's cracking, guys? It's DT here for a performance review of Final Fantasy 15 on the PC. Now, historically, Japanese ports of console games that come to PC have often been pretty bad, especially from Squaresoft. Most recent culprits, Chrono Trigger and of course Secret of Mana, two awesome games that just are absolutely poo-poo on Steam. And my hope with Final Fantasy 15 was that the port was actually going to be really good. And long story short, it's pretty good. It's not great, and I'm going to show you why it's not great, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Alright guys, we're going into the game right away, and as you guys can see, the load time on an SSD is absolutely short. There's like 3 to 5 second loads, no matter where you are in the game. So if you got an SSD, you're going to be in for a treat. So first and foremost, we're going to look at the graphics options, then I'll show you a little bit of gameplay, and then after that, I'll give you my general impressions on the game as a whole and, of course, the port. Alright guys, so the very first thing you want to do for this PC port is go to Options, Display, FPS, and hit On. This will give you a little handy-dandy benchmarking tool in the top left of the screen so you can optimize your gaming experience. After that, go into Options, Graphics, and now you can choose how you want to set the game up. First, you'll probably want to hit the preset option up. For me, it's going to be a highest setting because I am running a i7-7700K overclocked to 4.8 with a GTX 1080 Ti. So basically top of the line stuff. What you'll probably want to do is go into custom, and then you'll be able to set the parameters to basically get the best possible performance. Unfortunately, the frame rate is set to a fixed value of 30, 60, or 100, regardless of your hertz on your monitor. I have a 165 hertz monitor, and I can't take advantage of it. You know, it's just a kind of a knock with the PC ports. The fortunate part about it is you're not going to get above 120 frames per second anyway, because like I said initially, the PC port is not that great in terms of optimization. It's good, but it's not great. So I'm cruising here at around 58 frames per second, dropping down to almost 45 right there with that little hitch. It's okay, but with top of the line PC gear, I expect a little bit better, to be honest. If you want to increase your optimization, disable NVIDIA Hairworks, disable Turf Effects, and disable Shadow Libs, whatever the hell that is. I have found that these three options cause the most headache with getting a higher frame rate. Everything else is pretty standard. You know, if you want to turn AA off, you'll get a little bit of a bump. If you want to turn occlusion off, you'll get a little bit of a bump, but it's not too bad. Just turn Hairworks off if you're having issues. So we're doing a little bit of combat here, and I have to say there are some frame rate dips with the combat. As you can see here, I just dropped down to 35. I mean, that was insane, that hitch. This is a pretty constant thing, and then when you go into major cities, you'll also see some pretty nasty dips in frame rate as well. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but for someone who spent, you know, $3,500 on a PC, we do expect to have a really nice, clean frame rates with modern video games. And it's okay with Final Fantasy 15, but it's not that great. The great thing about the port, though, is that the draw distances, as you can see, are pretty amazing, right? There's mountains out there. The skybox is beautiful. The lighting is fantastic. The shadows are awesome. It just looks absolutely beautiful. I wish it just ran a little bit better. So in terms of the actual gameplay system, this is not the Final Fantasy of the past. This is the mass appeal Final Fantasy. Kind of the hold down the trigger, Arkham style, parry, dodge, roll, and kind of let the game do the autopilot thing. You can hold down the B button, and it will basically do what's called a blitz, what I'm doing here right now. Holy frame rate issue. See, that's what I'm talking about. It dips in some pretty nasty ways. Anyway, you just hold down the B key and it does a blitz, which is basically just a continuous set of attacks. And every once in a while, you can do a little dodge. You can do a warping mechanic just like that to reposition yourself. But for all intents and purposes, it's a real-time combat system that you kind of just hold down the button and then dodge, roll, and then occasionally use a spell or a team attack. I like the combat quite a bit. It reminds me of course, Arkham and kind of the newer Final Fantasy games. But, you know, as an old school Final Fantasy player who likes the active time battle system, it's just okay for me. The story is pretty complicated. You'll find a lot of characters to interact with. You'll go on a lot of adventures. You'll see a lot of crazy cities. Final Fantasy has always been that cinematic RPG, as I like to call it. Lots of cutscenes, a lot of CGI, a lot of voice acting. It's just a very high production value RPG. This time around, though, you've got your boys with you, as you can see. I got my posse here. We all got that black leather on like we're kind of straight out of high school. A lot of people don't like that. You know, it's kind of the juvenile Final Fantasy, spiky hair, kind of teenager vibe. It's okay. You know, I think a lot of the prior Final Fantasy characters were a lot more interesting than Noctis or whatever his name is. You know, Cloud, Squall, Titus, those are all really great characters. The supporting cast is okay. You'll meet Cid and some of the other classic Final Fantasy characters, but for the most part, you're kind of back in high school with, you know, your boys, as I like to say in this game, and they can get quite annoying, especially later on in the game. So there's your port reports for Final Fantasy 15 on the PC. It's an okay port. It could have been better. There's a lot of frame rate issues, but the draw distance is amazing. The clarity is fantastic. The gameplay, it's the same as it was on the PlayStation, so if you liked it back then, you'll love it now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Try it out on Steam. If you have problems with the port, you can always refund it. This was just my little video to tell you guys that you might be a little disappointed with the ports if you're running a similar setup than I. But of course, your mileage is going to vary once again because everyone's computer is different. But, you know, for someone running top-of-the-line stuff from NVIDIA, if I'm not getting 60 frames per second on the reg, you're probably not going to get it either, no matter what you're running. So just keep that in mind with this port. So I think Square has done a pretty good job with this port. You know, they've done some pretty awful ones on the PC in the past, so I'm not going to give this one too much flack, but it could definitely have been done better. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and thumbs it up. If you did not, you know, you can thumbs it down. I can't stop you. It will tell me, you know, what you guys like and do not like in terms of me making content on the channel, so it's always helpful. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in our next video. I'm going to be rolling out with my boys a little bit more here. Have a great day, guys.